tomorrow I go in for a CBC. I'm getting a blood draw, and it's been like 30 something days, and I have no idea what my blood is going to be, but it feels like it's pretty good. I am hopeful that my platelets are recovering after all this time and all the IVIG I've gotten and everything. So I do feel tired, but besides that, I don't feel that feeling I would get when my platelets are low. I got this I banged into something really hard on my leg, and if my platelets were low, it would have been like just a baseball size, grapefruit size bruise. And it was a pretty modest bruise, and I thought, wow, that's really progress for me to have such a small bruise. I'm used to having such huge bruises in the past. So anyway, I think that I'm hopeful that my platelets are recovering. I felt like over time that would hopefully happen. I was able to go to some hot yoga, and if you've ever done hot yoga before, it's a pretty intense class. It's like 90 minutes. You're doing stretches the whole time, and it would seem like stretches are easy, and in some ways they are, but it's pretty taxing. Used to have a really, really robust, like almost daily for a while, Bikram practice. I did a video about that, but anyway, I'm trying to only go like once or twice a week, just enough to detox and to sweat, and it's been really great. I've been feeling awesome, and I checked my blood a couple times after getting out of class with the pulse oximeter and checking the pulse, but more than anything, looking at the oxygen, my oxygen's been like 99 or 100%, and usually a lot of times my oxygen's like 95. So I think that particular practice of hot yoga, it was designed as a healing type of yoga, and so it's like, well, that's what I'm doing. I'm healing, so I might as well put myself in that room and get all the benefits from it. So I feel really good about that. The doctor I've been going to wants to retest, to do like a hair mineral analysis and the urine analysis and recheck all my levels, and I'll be really interested to see especially what the platinum is, because I said this before, the platinum was like through the roof, and that's what carboplatin, that's I got TCHP, that's the chemo that I got, cocktail of chemo that I got for cancer, and that's just crazy to me that the carboplatin would be like off the charts. So I'm really curious if any of this detoxing or anything like that I've done, if it's made any difference. I've been feeling pretty good, but I did want to also say that there's this woman who was 31 who just died, named Nightbird. And I guess if you follow anything about breast cancer, you probably know who she is. She was from Ohio. She got diagnosed, she was a singer. She got diagnosed with breast cancer in September of 2017, and I was diagnosed in October of 2017. Well, I first came upon her not that long ago, but she was on America's Got Talent, and she just like wowed the whole audience and the whole judge panel. She's very waifish, very cute, very beautiful, cute and beautiful. Waifish, like, anyway, she just was this adorable young woman, not girl. And she was on America's Got Talent, and she sang a song that she wrote called It's Okay. And I highly encourage anybody that's watching this to do a YouTube search for America's Got Talent Nightbird, and she spells it with an E at the end of bird. Or you could look up It's Okay, America's Got Talent, It's Okay. And oh my God, I was just like, just pouring tears. It was so touching and moving and beautiful, and her voice is stunning, but she was also had this humility about her that was just beautiful to see. Like having cancer was just sort of it was just sort of a detail of her life, and the judges were really touched by her. So anyway, they gave her the golden buzzer, which I didn't even know what that was because I don't watch that show, but I guess that's sort of like the highest accolade that you could get. You went straight to the finals or semifinals or something like that, but she had to back out because she needed to take care of her health, which of course, everybody supported, but they missed her, and she appeared like you know, by video or whatever, and they did like a little interview and checked in with her, and she seemed like she was doing fine. So anyway, I got kind of like deep into her story and followed her on Instagram and followed her on TikTok. Did I? Anyway, so then I found out like 2 days ago she died, and she was stage 4, but it just really hit me because number one, we were diagnosed pretty much the same time. Same type of cancer, breast cancer. I don't know what type she had. I haven't been able to find that out. I'm just curious. Was she triple negative, triple positive? Just very curious. But what I found, here's the things I found interesting. One is that she was NED twice. So I don't think she was initially diagnosed stage 4. That part I'm not sure of, but I do know she was diagnosed. She did standard of care. She was NED, no evidence of disease. Then the cancer came back. I think she did standard of care again, or she may not have, because she did a GoFundMe and raised like $500,000 or something, a lot of money. And she was down in Irvine, which is where my mom lives. I'm kind of familiar with down there. You know, it's very like really great doctors, really great. It's just a very like affluent community, so they have access to a lot of things. So anyway, that might have been the second round of treatment that she did, and then she was NED again, and then it came back again, and I think that might have been it. I might have some of those details slightly off, but I do know that she basically had it 3 times and was NED twice. And they showed a video of her from the hospital room, which I didn't realize it was the hospital, but it was the last video she ever made on social media. And she looked great, you know, she sounded great, she looked great. She, from what I was seeing, wasn't even putting out any information that showed that she wasn't really doing okay. And so it just struck me as so sudden, which is the experience that I had with a friend of mine that died a year ago. Hers was cervical cancer. We went on a walk. We took a pretty brisk walk. It was an hour-long walk up some pretty steep hills, and she was great. I mean, she was a little bit thinner than normal, and she was already kind of a thin person, but she sounded great. She looked great. And then my daughter and her dad saw her a little bit after we took that walk, like maybe a couple days, and said she didn't look so good. But my experience of her was like, wow, we were gonna get together every week and do this walk, and she was dead within 4 weeks, you know, from the time we did that walk. And so anyway, it just kind of like floored me that I could see I have this concept that before a person dies, they look really bad, they sound bad, they like you get notice on how a person's doing. And also just to be NED twice in a 4-year period and then still die. And it just hit me really close to home, like, wow, the recent PET scan that I had where I'm NED, I mean, I'm glad I'm not stage 4. That might change it slightly, but in a sense, I'm like, but it just doesn't give any assurance, you know, or insurance. It doesn't mean that cancer can't come back. And not that I'm going to live in fear every day about that, but it was just so eye-opening for me to realize my friend a year ago, this beautiful, you know, famous person who died so quickly, who sounded completely cogent, you know, and clear in her video. I'm just like, anyway, it just rocked me. Not to mention there was a death of somebody local here that wasn't a cancer related thing, but I just I felt so hit by it as well for some reason. She was living in her car, Harvard business degree, and apparently, and this all came to light after she was found deceased on a trail somewhere, and she was homeless, apparently living in her car. And I had seen her a bunch of times at like the local grocery store, and I just sort of joked to myself like, oh, there she is again, there she is. And she had some kind of disability, and I teared up and just got sad because I wish I would have had more compassion. I wish I would have known this person's homeless, you know, or this person's living in their car. And here I was just like, oh, there she is again. I don't know. It was weird. I just wasn't like I was dissing her, but I kind of felt like I was, you know. And it just made me feel like I wish I'd known she was in need, you know? I wish I knew she needed something so that I could potentially help her. And then they found her dead on some trail. She was 56 and they don't suspect foul play, but this all happened, you know, within like such a short period of, actually within just a couple of days. My friend was a year ago. And then I have another friend that has colon cancer who's only 41 and she's stage 4 and she's living in Italy. So there's that. And, you know, we have different feelings about how to deal with cancer. And so we kind of just don't talk about it now, which is okay. I expressed how I felt and, you know, it's her life. She gets to choose how she wants to deal with it or not, but it hurts. You know, this is the person I've called one of my best friends for decades, 20 years probably, maybe longer. You know, I'm just struck by death and my concepts about death and my lack of compassion for this woman that was living out of her car. My mom had a health scare. She was in the hospital having some kind of procedure and that was fine, and she felt like they gave her too many painkillers, and I have been in that position before. I mean, I think taking any painkillers is painful because it made me feel, every time I've ever taken any of these opioids or painkillers they've given after surgery, I feel like absolute shit. It's terrible feeling. I mean, maybe you don't have a certain pain, but in another way, it's just, I felt like I was kind of dying. And like, that's what she expressed, my mother. And so she had her own scare with death. Luckily, she's fine. Death has been a topic of late. So yeah, of course, has me thinking about my own death. And I just remember sometimes like there really is no promise for tomorrow, and it doesn't matter if we have cancer or not. None of us are promised tomorrow. It's such a huge fortune that we have this life. Each day that we have, it's like wake up and kiss the ground and thank God for another day, because we just never know when it's going to be our last. And I'm grateful to have that perspective when I can remember it, but I certainly don't always remember it. So I do have one more thing. I'm going to see the plastic surgeon again, which is kind of crazy because I've said for a while that I don't think I could have another surgery again. And I still don't know if I would or not, but I want him to tell me what he would do about the bulging. I should show, maybe I'll do another video. I think I have, but maybe it's been a while. It's the bulging that's happening in my armpit area, because I had the aesthetic flat closure, but then I just have this like extra fat. And I just want to know what he would recommend. I have a feeling he'll say liposuction. I have a feeling he'll say like, yeah, how about breast reconstruction? But I don't want to do that. I'm not going to do that. Like he had talked, you can do fat grafting and stuff like that. You can take fat from your belly, of which I have plenty. And I'd love to take the fat from my belly, but I don't want to deposit it in my breast area and try to pretend I've got a breast. But I might want to have it taken from my belly. I don't know. So I'm just going to talk to him and see what the options are. And I think, you know, that's one upside to breast cancer, is that you get to consult with a plastic surgeon and they want to give you a reconstruction. And I think that they can remove belly fat as part of the reconstruction. So I don't know, I might take them up on it, but I don't know what it entails. You know, I actually heard liposuction's pretty difficult. Like the recovery is pretty hard, and I don't know if I want to go through that. And I don't want to do general anesthesia, so I think they have a local anesthesia, and I just don't know the difference between like, is it worth it? Is it okay? Are you like in screaming agony on local anesthesia with liposuction? So I'm going to find that out, and I go to that appointment in a couple weeks. So we will see. So that's my little update. Thanks for listening.